the executive of the people of the secret. The time has come to sum up. To those who claim logic as the highest principle, the material we have collected will be wholly unconvincing. It will appear no more than special pleading and proof by selected instances. Yet logic at its limits can demonstrate no more than the consistency or otherwise of a closed system. Plato's firelit cave is a closed system, and its prisoners find logic adequate to explain all that they experience. No logic can trigger off the intuitive leap which would suggest to them the existence of a reality greater than their world of flickering shadows. And shadows may be thrown by neon lights no less than by cave fires. To those predisposed to occultism, all that we have tried to bring forward will probably confirm existing subjective preferences. It may also, most regrettably, provide material for developing others. But there may be readers less decisively committed, readers prepared to try and extrapolate from logic. They may feel that the material collected here suggests a wholly unsuspected viewpoint, a framework within which the scientist and the priest may sit in peace together, a universe in which free will and determinism can coexist. With rashness both unpardonable and unavoidable, we suggest the following tentative conclusions. History is not the equilibrant of chance and hazard. It does not just happen. The script for the long human story was written by intelligences much greater than man's own. Certain gains and goals for mankind, and for the biosphere of Earth, must be attained within certain intervals of Earth time. These gains are essential for the balance and growth of the solar system of which the Earth is a part. The solar system may itself be subject to a similar pressure in the interest of the galaxy of which it is a part. The direction, speed, and end of this process is the will of God. The will of God is the aspiration of divinity that the universal process shall proceed in a certain way to a certain end, while leaving open the possibility that it may elect to proceed quite otherwise to quite else. Very high intelligences direct the evolution of the universe in an attempt to ensure that the divine aspiration shall be realized. These intelligences are coercive in proportion as their material is unconscious. They are persuasive in proportion as their material is conscious. The universe is a gradient of consciousness, and on this gradient the Earth occupies a low level. Its highest raw material is mankind. Mankind is collectively unconscious of the evolutionary process of which he is a part, and he is subject, therefore, to determinism approaching 100%. Even so, the direction imposed on mankind is only relatively coercive. Because of the high energies which are potential in him, man may not be compulsively directed. Means have to be employed which do not outrage the integrity of his potential nature. This is achieved by arranging a bias in favor of those situations which contain developmental possibilities, and by limiting man's opportunities for making involutionary choices. About this line there may be marginal interplay of determinism and free will. On the present moment of a man or a generation of men, these pressures may appear both random and hostile. Responsibility for this process on earth lies with an intelligence which has been called the hidden directorate. This may correspond to the level symbolized in occult legend as an individual, e.g., the regent or the Ancient of Days, etc. It is to be equated either with a demiurgic level or with the level immediately below. No grounds exist for an opinion as to whether this intelligence is, in any sense, comprehensible to man, a single or a composite intelligence, or whether it is discarnate or corporal. Below this level, certain members of ordinary humanity, in whom qualitative changes have taken place, are in touch with the directorate and may at intervals share its consciousness. This group of advanced human individuals is what has been referred to as the hidden executive. It is the reality behind all legends of masters and initiates from earliest historical times to the present. There may be several centers on earth from which the executive operates, corresponding to the division of responsibility for humanity assigned before the withdrawal of 12,000 years ago. One such center is, or was, in Afghanistan and corresponds to the legend of the Markaz, that is, the powerhouse. There may be other centers corresponding to various ethnic groups. The executive works to implement the overall plan of the directorate. This activity is at extrasensory level. The executive also operates at the level of ordinary life through a descending order of initiated subordinates. These take part in the ordinary life of nations and are almost wholly, but not quite, unsuspected. These are the secret people. Those active within ordinary life have been known by many names at various periods of history and prehistory. Those under a chain of command from the Afghanistan Center have been known as Sufis. Side by side with action on humanity in the mass, the executive and its subordinates are concerned with local attempts to raise the conscious level of individual men exceptionally. Such specially selected ordinary individuals may aspire to qualify for participation in the work of the executive. The process by which they may so qualify is the magnum opus, the great work. This is equivalent to a vertical ascent to a higher level as opposed to a gradual rise with the evolutionary tide. Opportunities through which ordinary men who have begun to suspect may qualify to enlist in the great work are never wholly absent at any time in history. But in terms of the Earth's time scale, they occur irregularly. Such occasions are related to extraterrestrial events, and these events are not at the discretion even of the directorate. When the solar wind blows, a major operation of soul-making is begun by the directorate. As a result, a relatively large number of human individuals may complete a significant part of the great work in a single generation. A small number may reach completion. Both categories will serve the evolutionary process of mankind thereafter, but their post-mortem situations may be different. Knowledge of such matters has never at any time in history been absent, but it has always been available in the form of allegory, never explicitly. Many of the Greek myths are allegorical descriptions of sequences in the magnum opus. In recent historical times, corresponding to the development of intellect, suggestions have become increasingly explicit. They have probably never been more explicit than at the present time. This may suggest that the end of a major era is envisioned. There are indications that an occasion is currently developing, and that its possibilities are being focused chiefly in the West. It is not possible to conjecture whether this is a major or a relatively minor event. It seems safe to assert that it exists. If this is so, and if it is true that information about these matters is now explicit, it may be objected that it is hardly explicit enough to indicate a line of action to those who might be ready to respond. It may be that matters will never be more explicit than they are, and that a successful search for a source is, and always has been, the minimum price of admission.